Welcome and thank you for joining me for this month's Curators Tour. I'm Britt Mitchell, Curator of Exhibitions, and today we will be exploring Ghost Army, the combat con artists of World War II. Deception, the act of misleading enemy forces, has been used for centuries to gain an advantage in combat. During World War II, the 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, known as the Ghost Army, elevated battlefield deception to an art form. A top-secret unit that included future celebrities such as Bill Blass, Ellsworth Kelly, and Art Kane, they waged war with inflatable tanks and vehicles, fake radio traffic, sound effects, and even phony generals. This carefully selected group of artists, engineers, professional soldiers, and draftees, armed with nothing heavier than a .50 caliber machine gun, fooled Adolf Hitler's armies, saved thousands of lives, and played an important role in Allied victory in World War II. At the very beginning of the exhibition, there are two noteworthy and unique inclusions in this exhibition. The guidon of B Company 603rd Engineer Camouflage Battalion, and the recreation of the fatigue uniform as worn by T5 Bill Blass. This guidon of B Company was preserved by its 2nd Platoon leader, 1st Lieutenant Harold Leroy Scult. Historically, the guidon was a military unit's reference point in the confusion of battle, literally a guide. Modern warfare has rendered the guidon obsolete on the battlefield, but they are still very much a part of military tradition and are carried in the front of formations and displayed in the front of the unit's headquarters. Only the sharpest and generally very tall soldiers are chosen for the honor of being the unit's guidon bearer. Each unit has a unique guidon with different combinations of letters, numbers, colors, and branch of service insignia. This example, made by the Philadelphia Quartermaster Depot, is for B Company 603rd Engineer Camouflage Battalion. It has a red background and the color of the engineers, the triple turreted castle, the engineer branch of the service insignia, the number 603 above indicating the battalion number, and the letter B below denoting the company of the battalion. The guidon is Army-issued and owned property, and generally they stayed with the unit until it is worn out and needed to be replaced. At the end of the war, the 603rd was deactivated, making this guidon obsolete. It is likely that Scult had possession of it and saved it from destruction. It also made an excellent souvenir of his time in the service. Scult was known as the platoon leader of the 2nd Platoon. Bill Blass was in the 4th Platoon and no doubt would have known each other. This guidon would have been at the front of many formations that both Scult and Blass would have been in. Next to the guidon, we see a recreation of fatigue uniform as worn by T5 Bill Blass, who is Fort Wayne's hometown hero. William Ralph Blass defined the relaxed elegance that would characterize American fashion in the late 20th century. Before achieving worldwide fame, Bill Blass was a boy with a dream in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Born on June 22, 1922, Blass grew up on South Calhoun Street. His father took his own life through suicide when Bill Blass was about 5 years old, leaving his mother Ethel to raise Bill and his older sister Virginia in the shadow of the Great Depression. During high school at Southside, he began selling sketches to a clothing manufacturer in New York for $25 each, a fortune during the Great Depression. At 17, Blass headed for New York City, a decision that launched his 50-year career in the fashion industry. In 1942, while a student at Parsons School of Design, Bill Blass joined the Army. Due to their intelligence and creativity, he and other designers, illustrators, and painters were assigned to the 603rd Camouflage Battalion of the Ghost Army of World War II. He sketched the first Bill Blass logo in his Army notebook. He is remembered for his great style and never-ending smile. Successful fashion designer, entrepreneur, and globally recognized brand, and heroic Ghost Army Congressional Gold Medal recipient, Blass has a legacy worthy of honor. Americans initially were inspired by British deception operations in North Africa, where they disguised tanks as trucks and disguised trucks as tanks. Many of these units were given orders to set up inflatable artillery emplacements, simulating the position of the 980th Field Artillery. This would result in the Germans attacking this fake position while the real field artillery successfully gained ground. Empty shell casings, camouflage nets, and flash containers set off at night to imitate the bright light of a fire gun helped to complete the deception. Different units had different responsibilities. Some were ordered to create fake radio traffic nets, impersonating operators from real units by learning to mimic their telegraphic sending style. The 3132nd Signal Service Company was a unit that simulated sounds of men and tanks moving into position from up to 600 yards away by playing these sounds on 500-pound speakers mounted on half-tracks. These sounds were pre-recorded at Fort Knox in Kentucky. The 603rd Engineer Camouflage Battalion was the largest group in the 23rd, with 279 men who were trained to set up phony headquarters, inflatable tanks, trucks, planes, and artillery, as well as create phony signals and shoulder patches for deception purposes. The largest and most successful Ghost Army deception operation was Operation Fearson, taking place from March 18th to March 24th, 1945. The 23rd portrayed the 30th and the 79th Infantry Divisions preparing to cross the Rhine River, while the actual units crossed further north. The men used all the available deception tools, including 600 inflatable tanks, artillery, and planes, fake unit patches and markings, sounds of vehicles moving into position and pontoon bridges being built, fake radio traffic, and phony divisional and battalion headquarters. Their efforts were so effective, a real American reconnaissance plane landed on a dummy airfield. The Germans shelled the positions and even flew a reconnaissance flight over them, but there were never any casualties. When the real Rhine crossing occurred on March 24, 1945, they faced almost no opposition, proving that the 23rd's final performance was an impressive triumph. To see all of the in-depth information about the Ghost Army's artifacts, as well as works on paper created by the artists during their time as soldiers, come visit Ghost Army, the Combat Con Artists of World War II, before it closes on October 26th.